welcome to the World Happiness Festival. And it's my deep pleasure today to have the opportunity to speak with Lisi Vinh. And I'm really so grateful that you're able to create the time to share with us today, Lisi. Thank you so much. Lisi is the director of Eurasia Foundation. She holds a master's in humanitarian action, and she brings a wealth of experience to education and decades to special education as well. So I thought maybe, Lisi, today we could speak a little bit about your work with the Peaceful Bamboo family in Vietnam. So can you share a little bit about how this program and community came about?
So I greet you all, and I'm also very happy to participate at the Happiness Festival. Happiness is really what the world needs, and happiness is the way. So I'm really happy to participate, and I'm also very happy to share about our work in Vietnam, because it's something that is really part of me. It's in me, in my in my cells, in my heart. And I really am very, very happy to share. So as Orlaith, right, mentioned, I'm the director of Eurasia Foundation, which is a foundation that was started about more than 20 years ago to support the work on special education and social therapy, which means working with people with special needs, children and adults. And we started this work about 25 years ago, because Tor and me, my husband Tor and me, we both were living at that time in a Camp Hill community. I don't know if you know Camp Hill communities. These are communities that welcome people with special needs and have a community life. So it's not a center for people with special needs, but with people of special needs. So you live together and you share your daily life and you share your joys and pains. And at the same time, it's a therapeutic community. And at that time, we welcomed 7 kids with severe autism, so none of them verbal, for 12 years in our family. So my children, our 2 children, and these 7 kids with severe autism, my husband and me, we lived together for 12 years. I always say these were our 12 years of monastery, because what we did was pray and work, right? But it was a very, very formative, and I'm very grateful for this time, because I think that's when I really learned to love and respect the human dignity more than ever. I mean, and really learn to overcome so many of my shortcomings and my prejudices and my impatience. And it was an incredibly, incredibly formative time. And when my husband came back to Vietnam in 1982, and he visited Vietnam so shortly after the war, his eyes had been, or his heart, let's say his heart had been trained to see the suffering of people with special needs. So that's where there was a lot of needs everywhere. People were still hungry in Vietnam at that time, and it was a very, very hard time, but he learned to see the suffering through the eyes of people with disabilities, and right away felt we have to do something. We can't just, be in Switzerland in a comfortable, it was not that comfortable though, community for people with special needs, and do nothing for people in Vietnam, because the needs were so big that people with mental disability were just not the priority of the government, of the families. And that's how we started. So we met Thai in 1989, so a few years later. And from then on, we really went very, very regular to Vietnam and started very humble little projects like supporting a family, buying a washing machine for a nunnery who welcomed kids with special needs. And it was really, really step by step getting involved. But from the beginning, we started with training because we felt that's where we had also our skills. And most people who worked with people with special needs had no training at all. They just had a good heart. Most of them were religious people and mainly Christian communities. So we started training people and we started developing more and more projects. Finally, we had 7 schools, special classes for kids with special needs. Then we created 3 schools for kids with severe disabilities. And all this was done over a decade or more to really build up a network also of people that we know, that we can trust, and they can trust us. And we got slowly also a team that became well-trained, because every year we came twice a year to give training and so on. And we always worked officially, meaning going through the government, because we felt if we want to have a real impact, we don't want to have a private little center that cares for 2 or 3 kids, but we really wanted to have an impact in the sense of changing the mindset of people regarding to special needs. And so we went through the struggle of working with the governments, with explaining what we do, convincing them. And I would say this was a very good experience too, to learn to speak about things like mindfulness, like social emotional learning in terms that people can understand and can say, okay, yes, this is valid. We support this. And through that, through these years, we then had a group of about 10 young, at that time they were still very young, now they're a bit older, young Vietnamese social workers and special teachers that we had trained. And they really wanted to go deeper in this training also concerning mindfulness, really understanding the therapeutic aspects of mindfulness, because in one of your questions you asked if mindfulness was difficult to integrate in educational project or something. In special education, not at all, because it's really about, it's not only about intellect, right? And this everybody will understand. Many of the kids who work here have very limited or weird kind of intellectual abilities. So it's clear that people understand that you also have to educate the heart and the hands, that living skills, that practical skills are as important as intellectual skills, and that mindfulness definitely is a very, very powerful therapeutic and simply living skills practice that it was never difficult to explain, even to the education ministry, even to the, we had to use the word that doesn't remind of religion, but we could really say that this is valid, a valid tool for our work. And whenever people then come in our school classes and so on, they say, oh, it's so quiet here, it's so peaceful, kids look so relaxed, and their teachers, then we say, yes, because we take moments of pause, we give everybody a moment, we ring a bell. And the bell in Vietnam is even also very strange, because it's usually used in monasteries, but we could show that this bell in our class was doing good, was bringing these children a moment of peace, a moment of quiet, and we could really, I would say, disconnected from the religious connotation, but really see what these moments of peace, these moments of coming back to yourself, bringing to the children and to the teachers. So this young group who really wanted to deepen, and they really wanted to, they have also traveled, many of them, and visited other places, like in Europe, that we invited them. Some came for trainings through communities. And then they said, we want to have a community here in Vietnam. And this came parallel that most of the kids from ours, we had about 400 kids with disabilities in our schools and classes, right? In the whole area of Hue. maybe not exactly 400, but about 400, right? And so many of them grew older. So we started some vocational training centers and things like that. But then parents got tired of bringing them every morning on their bicycle to the, they have a 25-year-old boy and you have to bring him every morning or pick him up every evening. And the parents didn't have the motivation. Then they said, yeah, he sits there and does so humble work, so it's not worthwhile, right? And parents get tired of parents of children with special needs get really tired when their kids grow older. Usually that's when kids take their own life in hand, and usually these kind of children have a difficulty doing that. So it convinced us that to have a community to build a community where some of them can live and work is really the right thing. And we managed to convince the government that we tried to make this possible, and we really got the support to do it, which is amazing, really amazing. And I'm really grateful to the authorities that they trusted us, even though I'm sure they were worried. Is there going to be a religious group? Is there going to be, what are they going to do there? Whatever. I'm sure they had many, many spies coming to visit us to check what we are doing. And I do understand, because we were the first community of this kind in the whole of Vietnam. And so when we started this Peaceful Bamboo Family Community, so the main aim is to have a place for people with special needs, adults. Now we also have kids, but before we only had adults living with special needs, where they have a place to be, that the parents can breathe a little bit during the week and have a rest, that these kids have a community, friends with whom they can live and work, and that they learn a profession. And that we have really practice a community life. We create a little village for them. It's like a little village with and for them. And the other aim was to, because this was like 15 years ago that we started this community, is to implement a biodynamic garden. So it was the first biodynamic vegetable garden in Vietnam. And we have it's not that big, but it's quite big. And
I'm going to share some pictures just while you're speaking, Lisi, to give people a sense of this beautiful community that you've created.
Sure, please do. And it's so amazing when you think that it's actually people with special needs who had the first organic garden in Vietnam. I mean, there are some other organic initiatives since 20 years or so, but we started at the same time, but it's definitely the first biodynamic garden. And it's really people with special needs who made this possible, which I think is quite an amazing event.
It's extraordinary. And can you share a little about the importance of the garden as a classroom, as a teaching place and a learning place?
So we have this is one of the biodynamic gardens that you saw in this picture, but there's another one, you'll see them. So the first 7 years, our biodynamic garden team got trained. So they went to the US, other trainers came to Vietnam. Every year they had a 3-month training. So here, this is the garden team, with their master, so to say. And we really established, I mean, it is really, we could have Demeter is a kind of label that you get when you are certified. We could get it, but it's so complicated. But definitely it is a very, very professional and 100% biodynamic garden that we have in. And so the first years you just try to become really good in what we do. And I would say this was with everything we did. We really made a very, very strong commitment to become really professional in all the fields that we are working in, may it be in special education, social therapy, but also entrepreneurship, that our products are good quality and that the garden is really working well, so that all the in our team receive a very professional training, so that they are really becoming, they're all now, I would say, experts, and they are invited to go to other countries and teach people now, which is really lovely, which is really, really lovely. And so, and then after, then after 7 years or so, we said, it's so beautiful here. If any of you ever come to visit Peaceful Bamboo Family, the first thing you will say, it's so beautiful here. And it's such a lovely atmosphere. And then we just felt, now it's time to open. It's not enough to have this just for us, right? And we should also, and we were also worried we become a little bit an island, and that the people with special needs don't have enough contact, because we do think integration is important, really, and inclusion is important. So what we decided is to include the world in the Peaceful Bamboo Family. We can't so easily go out into the world because of, of the certain special needs situation, but also geographically or whatever, or money-wise or whatever. But we can invite the world to come to us. So since 7 years, we offer trainings, we offer that are becoming more and more public, open, and we invite for even government when they have like some kind of meetings for NGOs, we invite them to do it in our place. And then we practice mindfulness. We ask them to wait a moment before the meal. We make no compromise on having this, our rhythm, our mindful practice. Whoever comes, maybe a government person, maybe a normal school or university students, when they come to us, they know that's how it works. You walk slowly, you take time, you sit before the meal a few moments in silence. These are just the practices that are totally integrated in our community.
It's tremendous.
And then when my husband, well, that's a long story, I will let him tell this, when he started the Happy School project, but actually started already before, we decided to invite school children to the community, also for school children to learn about special needs, that they get in contact with kids with special needs, that they learn about community, because we really have a, so to say, we have become artists of community life. And we share this we can share, how we structure the daily life, and how, the challenges and the joys of community life. And then we teach them about ecological living. So we make our own cleaning products, and we have a compost, of course, and we have the biodynamic garden, but we also very, very strict in segregating the garbage and things like. So kids, when they come to us, they learn all that. They get an introduction into that. And then they are invited to go in the workshops. We have like a bakery, then they can bake, then we make incense, they learn how to make incense. And what is so beautiful about this is that it is the people with disabilities who teach them. Of course, some need a trainer next to them to help them explain, but they are the ones who show them how to do. And you should see the faces on the kids of the normal school classes when they come, and they have a boy with Down syndrome who knows perfectly well how to make a cake and shows them how to do it, or a girl with severe epilepsy who needs to wear a helmet because she falls all the time, who can make incense so perfect. and we get sometimes letters from these school children that are, we all have tears in our eyes, where they tell us, they feel so humbled to see that these children are so capable and they can't do it. They are not able to do. And the same in the garden and so. So that's our way of inclusion, that we bring. And then we have a tea house, and all these school kids who come to visit to our place, then they bring their parents to the tea house, because so I would say half of Hui knows us, because because it's about every year it's about over 1,000 school kids who come to our community. So if you see, this is going on since a few years, so I could imagine all the parents and the teachers, they tell their friends, and everybody is introduced into mindfulness, everybody who comes. So when we have a moment, we explain to them. When a bell rings, we all quiet down and we wait a moment and we reflect, what are we doing now? Why am I running? And just after one breath, we continue. And so we explain this to everyone, right? And the same, if authorities come, we explain to them. That's the way we get a rhythm that is a rhythm adapted to the needs of the community. And through people with special needs, it's so easy to understand. It's so easy to understand that this is good for them, and it's good for us, right? And we usually make a silent meal with the kids also, and that's also so easy to explain. You know, when you have kids with special needs, some of these kids, as their intellect is not so developed, the instincts are very strong, right? And coming to a meal, usually eating is a big thing for kids with special needs, right? It's one of their pleasures. They don't have so many other physical pleasures, right? So eating is one of them. And if you don't have a moment where you sit and wait, they would just jump on their meal and eat, right? And not look right and left, and maybe don't even taste what they eat. So what we do, we sit, we wait that everybody is seated, which takes a long time. We're about 80 people, right? At table. So this is already a lot of relaxing, right? And then one of the youngsters gets up and describes what we eat today. He gives the menu. And this is really important, you know, because we also have, in knowing what we eat, we are much more aware of what we eat. Huh? Today we have green salad. Today we have wonderful vegetable from our garden, and this makes everyone, oh yes, this is what we're going to make in conscious. I have a little bell here ringing. And then we sit down and we wait again, 1 or 2 breaths, and then we sing a song, and then we start. So when people come from outside, let's say, and experience this, usually they are mind blown. They've never experienced something like that. And then from all these hundreds and thousands of people who come every year, we always feel 1 or 2 are really touched, and it might change their life, right? It might change their life, and they might want to know more. They might want, but we really try to bring it in such a way that is really natural to us and is understandable for anyone, right? Oh. So this is really, and the other thing is about community. I think you asked me because so as I said, I have lived in a Camp Hill community, so I have a certain experience of that. And in this community, it's not exactly like in normal camp. We really try to reinvent it from inside, from the group of people who we are, from our different backgrounds and also aspirations. So we really customize it and we restructure it regularly according to our needs, right? What is needed now, and what does the team feel is important. And at the moment, we have a wonderful conversation with our team because we feel we have to strengthen the inner, inner vision of, no, not inner vision. We have to strengthen what carries us to do the work we do. Beautiful. And so we have really deep conversations with the team. So we are a very active community. And we really try to inspire other people to, and we get many young Vietnamese who come who also are not so, they really want to change something in their lifestyle. They want to have, they are not comfortable with the ecological situation. They are not comfortable with the economic situation. And then coming to our place, we try to encourage them to try out things, to have the courage to try, right? And we give them whatever we can give them on their path. And some will take some of this, some will take some of that. But we feel we have a task in that. We have a task to share what the treasures that we have experienced. And maybe also, because we soon have to finish, I want to really thank all these people. I mean, as much government in Vietnam as our team, but also the people that supported us. We know we received a lot of trust from many people. And we also want to give this back in the sense of really encouraging other people. And we also, we are in the process of really offering trainings for people who want to start communities in Vietnam. And yeah, and we try to do our best. We feel we cannot grow because people always tell us, "Oh, we should grow and do more." I think
we just keep building.
We should. We bought a new land now, just now. We call it the Empowerment Project, right? Because when these 1,000, you know why we bought it? Because when these 1,000 school kids come to our place, they destroy our garden. Because, you know, when you have these school classes who come and we eat our vegetables, right? It's our food. And so we bought a new piece of land, just 5 minutes walk, that really is essentially for the school classes, where they can dig holes, where they can, you know, really make experiences, and where we will encourage parents to come and have their own plot of little vegetable garden, right? To really, and guided by our youngsters with disabilities. So that's the new project we're working on, and we're still fundraising for it. So I mean, we bought the land, but we still have to continue fundraising.
We will share the links.
Yes, please do. I'm never afraid to ask, because
oh, no.
it's not for us. It's really for something that is, and I really feel, as I said, we received so much, and we really have a good experience. I mean, many struggles. I sound maybe too positive, right? But a lot of struggles, but still a really, really deep experience of these different fields that I shared with you. But it's really our turn to also to share this and really encourage others. So that's a lot.
Oh.
And maybe just to finish, I want to say something, because I'm talking to the Wake Up School groups, that we have one mindfulness day a week, right? Which is where we have the bell ringing regularly, which we don't have in the rest of the week. And we have a sharing evening on this mindfulness day. And for this, we also invite authorities to join, because we really did not want them to have the feeling that we do something weird or strange. And it's in this mindfulness evening, we have a silent meal, and we explain to them it's a moment where we really encourage everyone to really taste what they eat. And it's easy to explain that with people with special needs, you know, some of them really have a tendency to swallow, to eat more the quantity than the quality, right? Some, not all, some. And that to have an evening once a week where we really thank the gardeners, and we think of them, those who did work the whole week for us in the garden, and we take time to taste, and we take time. Oh, I have my bell coming on the computer. And where we thank where we think of the hard work of the gardener in the garden, and we really take, and we try to taste every vegetable instead of just swallowing it. And it's easy to explain to people. It's very easy, because everybody understands that, right? And then after that, we have like 10 minutes of meditation where we just calm down, and we breathe in and we breathe out, and we invite authorities to join, right? And then we have what we call sharing from the heart, where anybody can say whatever he or she wants to say. And it's one of the most beautiful moments in the whole week. I'm looking forward every week to do that, because it's really, you learn. It's really a community building practice, and and we invite authorities to join, and we've never had a bad feedback because it is a special moment. But definitely we do not have any religious figures or chants or this, not because it should not be. I mean, it should be there for anybody. It should be there for co-workers who are not Buddhist. It should be there for kids whose parents are maybe Christian. It should not have a religious connotation. Yeah. Of course, people who know Plum Village will find many, but we bring it in such a way that is acceptable for anybody. Mm. And until now, we never had a negative feedback. So it seems to work. So yes, this is a bit.
You've offered us a bouquet of such inspiring sharings there, Lisi. Thank you so much. And I think that for me, what you shared about starting slow and small, I think often the people who will be part of this festival will think, it seems such a big thing to do. How could I do that? But you started with what you could do. Started with one person, one family. You began to gain trust together, and then you began to understand more deeply what was possible, and then take the next step and the next. Mm-hmm. And I think to give yourself time as well, to not be in a rush. Often, I think with Wake Up Schools, sometimes we meet teachers who want so badly to share that they're often, they don't give themselves the time to be really grounded and stable. And from the pictures you have painted of peaceful bamboo, like the greatest teaching is your presence. From the images that you've shared, the joy and the community and the kindness and the love and the wisdom that comes very naturally is everything. And then that becomes quite contagious, that then you reach families and you reach the government networks and you change society. It's so deeply inspiring. Thank you so much. And we'll make sure we share your contact details and website and how to donate and support.
Sure, please. You always need.
Yeah.
And thank you for inviting us. And I think my husband, who will be also part of your, will also share a different side, because as I said, for the first years, we really had to solidify the community. People had to get it's a really professional community. We have many kids with autism. We have many kids with severe disturbances, and this group had to become really, really solid. And it's a solid community, definitely. Mm. So, but anyway, I really am happy to share. And
thank you so much. It has been such a joy to share together. So thank you so much, Lisi.
And have a good day, a sunny day. It's a wonderful sunny day here. I mean, I will go for a walk now, for sure.